Here we go. We on. Uh-oh. The live is not living on Instagram. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Another episode. Another episode. Happy 4th. Happy 4th. Happy motherfucking 4th of July. A lot of people probably don't celebrate 4th of July for various reasons. We're not going to even go there. But any holiday that brings the family together and loved ones, I'm all for it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm all for it. But the theme of today is not obviously the 4th of July. It's celebrating independent artists.
Yeah. It's independent artists for Independence Day, right? So let's do it.
Like what they call that double entendre or something like that.
Is that a yeah? That is because today is Independence Day. We're artists for the pod.
No doubt. So we're gonna celebrate the independent artists. We're not gonna beat up on the record labels. You know what I mean? Because they do some good, but then when you know, and then you find out, and you can't really complain about the record labels because they do add some kind of value in the beginning, but the lawyers that you hire, they gloss over the fine print, right? And you're a very suspicious young person at the time, and you like the lawyer sitting you there. You got this contract. They tell you it's for like 250,000, and you like you ain't never had that kind of fucking money. You know what I'm saying? So you almost don't even want to read the contract, like, but you smart, and then you go, okay, you sit there and you listen, and the lawyer is saying, okay, this is for this section is for that, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, that makes sense. He said, I took a couple of things out that's in your favor, so now you're thinking that the lawyer is on your fucking side because he took some shit out for you, right? Like he took it out. He said, no, I crossed that part out. He's like, no way was I letting that go. So now he got you gas. He's like, oh shit, this lawyer's on my side. I like him, right? And then he skips over a couple of pages. You're like, wait, what's those pages? He's like, oh no, that's not really. It's nothing. That's not the important part. And you like, well, if he looked out for me and took this shit out over here, then the shit that he said that's not important, it must not be that important. But what I would later come to find out, is the shit that he skipped over was the important shit, right? Like if somebody would have told me that they're gonna own my masters in perpetuity, right? I would have said no. I'd have been like, fuck that. Nah, you can't own my masters. First of all, what is masters?
Right.
Like, I don't even know what the fucking master is. Like, oh, it's a really technical term that you will later on find out. Anyway, I say all of that to say that, the record companies aren't bad. It's your due diligence to look at what's in your contract. You understand what I'm saying? You look at what's in your contract. They give you a little bit of money. They basically give you a fucking loan, and it's not even like a bank loan, because when you get a bank loan, they give you the loan and you pay it back with interest over time, right? With added interest, then you end up paying more. But when you get a loan from a record company, not only do you have to pay it back, but they still own the shit that they gave you that you made for them. So it should be your property, right? And then they only give you a certain percentage of the sales on the album. Let's just say they give you 50 cents an album, or even let's say $1 album. The CDs was like $20. So your dollar has to add up to the $1 million that they spent on you, right? And they already made they probably made $18 million, and you didn't make the $1 million with your $1 yet. So now you in the red, you do another album, you more in the red, and so on and so forth. So today we're going to celebrate the independent artists because they get it, they got it. Right. They said, fuck that, we cutting out the middleman, and we want to just make some mentions to some of the dope independent artists who you had on your list.
And Hav, I think it's important to say that the beauty, like, it's a gift and a curse, right? So the beauty of it is that hip hop as a culture has made it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? So now there's an opportunity for kids who are coming up in certain environments who they could use hip hop as like a profession, like a doctor, a lawyer. They could be a music artist in hip hop, right? I think in years back, especially for like when you think about younger artists, when you think about like UMP, y'all were what, like 16 when y'all signed, right? So part of it is you don't necessarily know, you're too young to even know some of the nuance that you just explained, right? And what it starts to feel like is my choice is I could take this 250,000, for example, or if I say no, I got to go right back to the hood and the circumstances that I've been living in and I'm trying to get out of with the music. So it's a tough situation, but I think you're right. These indie artists are the ones who just figured out a way that they were going to do it the way that they saw fit, that was in the best interest for them as artists and as creatives.
Right. They learned the business and they cut out the fucking middleman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why, like, this clip that I'm about to play is one of my favorite movies because he cut out the middleman. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so we're gonna play a clip of my favorite movie of the epitome of cutting out the middleman. Tell me who's the record company and tell me tell me who's the middleman, right? And who's the artist.
Okay.
You're kidding. What was the score? 3-2. Hey, Mel, guess what? My little 18, the little buzzards, they won
Frank
the
is
division tonight.
obviously the middleman.
That's great. Congratulations.
Tony's the artist.
Right.
He figured the shit out.
Jesus Christ.
He walking up in the record company like,
Tony,
man,
what happened to you?
If y'all don't let me out this contract,
right.
They
He found out he got jerked. They tried to kill him.
Who the fuck did this? Headers? I don't know. Somebody must have brought him in. Never seen him before. Hello, Mel. And answer to this, too. There always is, Tony. I bet it was the Diaz brothers. They got beef going back to the sun rate. Maybe you're right.
They're trying to blame it on Def Jam. They're trying to blame it on.
Maybe you're right. Anyway.
He trying to blame it on Def. Def Jam ain't got nothing to do with this.
We're going to return the favor for you.
Maybe he was in his coat. Word.
Where's the good one, Tony? Why? Yeah, nothing. I just say paranoid.
Pick it up. Pick it up.
You gonna answer, Frank?
You must be Elvira. She got mad after we left the club, you know.
I tell her you're not here, okay?
No, it's all right. Talk to her.
Hello.
Be fronting.
It's all right. We'll be home in an hour. Don't worry.
Acting.
Hey, Frank. You a piece of shit.
Yeah, Tony, what are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about, you fucking cockroach.
What are you talking about? Come on, you listen to me, huh?
Do you know what a hustler is, Frank? That's a pig that don't fly straight. Neither do you, Frank.
Hey, Tony, why the fuck would I hurt you?
Talk about
I brought you in. So we had a few differences, huh? No big deal. I gave you your start. I was the one who believed in you.
I stayed loyal to you. I made what I could on the side, but I never turned you, Frank. Never. What are you?
A man ain't got his word. It's a cockroach.
Man, do something, will you?
It's your tree, Frank. You're sitting in it.
Okay. All right, Tony. I was doing. Please give me a second chance, huh, Tony? You do that.
Once you go independent, you can't come back.
Right.
Right?
Give me a chance on this next album.
You give me a second.
We disagreed with
I'll give you
singles.
10
I should have listened.
All money ain't good money.
$10
All
million.
money ain't good money, man.
I got it involved. I was there in Spain, Tony.
The artists figured it out.
We go over there. We get on a plane.
Especially when they got
It's
these
yours.
360 deals out now,
Okay.
right? Like when they get their old money.
Thought of everything. Everything.
Okay, Tony.
Damn, son, they want it all.
Please, Tony. Elvira. Elvira, you want Elvira?
You can have all the hoes.
I go away. I'm
Have all
going
the
to
hoes,
disappear,
man.
Tony. You'll never see me again, Tony. Please, Tony.
You can have them all.
I never did nothing to nobody.
No. You never did nothing to nobody. You had somebody else do it for you.
Get up! Jesus! Get up! No!
This I ain't gonna go any further because there might be some kids watching this, and I don't want it to get too graphic.
Yeah. But
You
we
know,
all seen that part of the movie before.
Yeah, you already know what happened. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, just shout out to the independent artists out there, man, that's doing their thing. Earlier we was talking about some of the independent artists out there that was doing thing. I came across obviously, of course, Russ is like killing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? He went independent early on. I believe he was signed to Columbia or Sony or something like that, one of those labels, but he's one of the artists that's doing it. Who else we got?
I mean, where you want new artists, you want older artists, like there's a lot of
Take Me Anywhere.
So definitely I'll start here. Earl Sweatshirt, who is from Odd Future, he's rocking independent. Earl is super dope. You got a newer project that actually just recently came out. My man Mr. Len, who was from Company Flow. Code Flow was already independent back in the day as a group. They was the first indie artist signed to Ruckus, which was an independent label. But now Mr. Len is doing a project with a dude named Murs, who's another independent MC out in Cali.
Mm-hmm.
Name of that project is Life in Dakota. That's crazy what Len is doing. So shout out to him. You also got I mean, one of some of my favorites. I like Homeboy Sandman, who's from Queens. Then of course we got, you got to go with Family Home Team. Shout out to Alchemist. He been doing the indie thing. Al got the indie machine working.
Oh man, Dewey got the blueprint. Matter of fact, speaking of Al, remember the Free Agents joint we did?
Right.
When Mobb Deep became like Free Agents at that time. That was in between
America's Nightmare album on Jive.
And then before the G Unit thing, we was like, fuck it. We tried our hand at being independent artists. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that after a while, I seen it in P's eyes. He's like, man, fuck everybody. You know what I'm saying? We already built up our fan base.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These labels is playing with us. You know what I'm saying? We sell 150 units the first week, which is kind of like unheard of today, right? And they try to make us feel like we did something wrong. That's crazy. Right. Somebody said RJ Payne.
Yeah, RJ Payne.
He's independent, right?
Yeah.
That motherfucker is like Shakespeare with the pen right now. Like, he's crazy, like the hood Shakespeare. Like, every line of his is crazy. So shout out to RJ Payne.
Right. As long as he's not signed at this point, I think RJ Payne is an example. I mean, another dope example of how they popped off as independent and then kind of signed and did a few things and kind of went their own separate ways is Griselda.
Ooh.
Yeah, West Side Gun, Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher. They movement early before that What Machine Gun Do album on Shady, they whole rhyme was independent.
They whole run was independent, right?
Right.
Because they believed in themselves. You know what I'm saying? They believed in themselves, and you know, of course, those record companies came knocking, but now they have their own imprint.
Right.
I'm saying now they could call the shots.
Right. Right.
You
And
know?
I think that both Benny and Conway are doing deals. I think Benny just finished doing that album. I think he did an album with Def Jam, the one that Al and Hit Boy produced solely. And then Conway also, I think, did his solo albums with Shady and then kind of went back off to doing his own thing.
Right. Which is dope, like, right? Because nowadays, anyway, these labels, they don't want to fuck with you unless if your numbers is up anyway.
Right.
But I say that to say, if your numbers is up on your own anyway, why invite
the
a
label?
middleman?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the only way it would make sense to invite the label in is if you're trying to do something strategic. And after a certain point, a label might be able to help you grow. Let's say you come in and you got a 1.5, million person fan base strong. Maybe the label can give you a little bit of an extra push to double that a little quicker. But if you already at 1.5 million, you're gonna be growing that base organically no matter what. So you might not need the push.
Yeah, and you won't need to push. And what you really need to hone in on and focus on is your fan base, right? Stop. I mean, because a lot of artists want to try to even go even further and go outside of their fan base, which is cool, right? But in order to go outside of that fan base, you probably got to go above and beyond. And some of the artists probably don't have those resources, right? Like they might not have the connect to, these platforms that are on, like, the Spotify people, like to get on the playlist, and they probably be like, yo, you need to send a rep here, right? I can imagine that that's what they fucking do when you hit up a Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. But they do. Anybody could get their music on Apple Music now and Spotify, but will it be seen, right? They push your shit so far to the back, and then you got to pay for these banners and shit like that. So they still kind of make it tough for you, but independent artists are still thriving. You know what I mean? They still thriving, and they making more money than these major label artists. You know what I'm saying?
Because
way more money.
If right now as an independent artist, you're seeing 75, 85, 90% of the money that your music or your art generates, it's an absolute win. You're not sharing that with anybody. So it makes all the sense in the world. If you got a certain type of following, you may not necessarily want a label until a very strategic point when you have influence. I mean, I'm thinking of two people right now who, one is an example of, I think, somebody who leveraged from independent into sort of a label situation is Rock Marciano.
Right.
Rock Marcy is just crazy. Shouts to him.
He was able to call the shots.
Yeah, and look, he's not only is he a dope MC, but he's a dope producer too. You know firsthand if you a producer and an MC,
you got my heart. You got my heart. But go ahead.
I mean, you automatically have more leverage because now you're not necessarily as an MC paying for a producer, or if you're a producer, you're not necessarily, paying to have people on the songs if you could keep that all in house.
True.
And then the other person who's just, I think, independent and just is doing what he wants to do and is killing it. And I really like this dude, Makami. Yo, shout out to Mark Hami. He's another one. Just, you know, we was talking last week, like one of those ones, right? Like, he's another one. When you listen to the lyrics and the content, you just like, yo, what planet are you on with the way you thinking about putting these bars together?
Right. And, you know, shout out to him for you know, going the independent route. I came across something that was, you know, every time I hear about, you know, what these record companies do, I really champion the independent artists even more and more. But, you know, people need to see this sometimes and just check this out. And
many kids grow up idolizing their favorite artists, praying that one day they can get signed to and become successful artists. With a life that seems to come prepackaged with fame, money, and women, most artists can only dream of getting their music to record labels. And how could you blame them? Not many people would turn down an opportunity that could provide financial freedom, women, and most importantly, fame. What if I told you that this is exactly what record labels wanted you to believe? That this is, for the most part, was an illusion used to lure young talent in so they can trap them. From manipulating artists to deceiving the public and even profiting off murder, record labels are far more dark than you could ever expect them to be. Join me in this episode as we uncover the dark truth about record labels. Since the beginning of the music industry, record labels have had two reputations. One, that if you get signed, you're rich and famous. And two, that record labels are evil and out to rob the artist. Now, both of these could be true, just not for all artists. A record deal is nothing more than a sketchy loan you would get from a loan shark. They have designed it to always lean in their favor, giving them the advantage over the artist. The way a record deal works is complicated for artists to understand. That's why they have lawyers. But to simplify it, in most cases, a record deal is a loan given to an artist so that an artist can produce a highly desirable body of work so they can sell it, and the profit from such body of work can pay back the loan given by the record label and any other expenses. Whatever's left then gets split between the record label and the artist. So if you're signed tomorrow to a $2 million deal, it does not mean you're receiving $2 million. This actually means you're being lent this amount of money throughout the duration of your contract. When you first sign, you will receive an advance, usually a good chunk of money that can wow an artist who has never seen such an amount. This is given to trap the artist, as they know that artist is going to spend this, putting themselves in debt. The record label even encourages the artist to spend the advance, advising them to use the money to move, buy expensive clothing and vehicles, telling them that it will improve their image. This is the beginning of the trapping cycle. Now an artist is in debt. Your deal was worth $2 million. Let's say the record label gives you an advance of $500,000. You now have left $1.5 million, but you technically owe the record label $500,000 before any money had been spent on any production of your music. Now you hit the studio to start making some hits. You're then taken to a recording studio of the best quality, costing about $120 to $300 an hour. The label will book this room for a week or even a few months. All of this coming out of your remaining $1.5 million. Let's say it costs you another $200,000 just on studio time to complete your album. Now you're left with $1.3 million, and now you owe $700,000. Now, in order to make a hit song, you need a hit beat, and in some cases, a whole song from a ghostwriter. So labels will contact hit producers and writers who can charge anywhere from $25,000 to $500,000 per beat. Let's say you spent another $300,000 on beats. You're now left with $1 million, but you're in debt for $1 million. After you make yourself some hit records, the label is going to need to promote your music. Even though they told you to spend your advance money on clothes and jewelry and expensive cars, that all might look nice and feel great to own, but it doesn't build the brand or sell any record. Artists need marketing to sell records, so record labels assign marketing teams to the artist. A marketing team then goes on to strategically map out ways to build more clout for the artist. They will start paying playlist owners to play an artist's music on top of the streaming playlist, spending around $250,000 to get an artist placed on the best Spotify playlist. Then they contact radio stations. Since paying the stations to play an artist's song is illegal, they find their way around this. A record label will buy a certain amount of commercial ad space on a radio station. This covers up how they pay the radio stations to play the artist's music. So now let's say that a record label gives a radio station $200K to throw your song in rotation at the best hours and promote your upcoming live events. You're now at $550K and you're now in debt $1.5 million. Now, the entire time you were making music and being creative, you had a team and a manager behind the scenes working endless hours making things happen. All of those people are being paid by you, even if you don't know it. Let's say you pay your staff another $200,000 and are now left with $300K and you're in debt $1.7 million. Now that you're going a buzz and your song starts to pick up steam, artists are going to want to start touring. This requires travel expenses and hotel expenses. Since you're now famous, you have to now live up to a high life image. Artists will start to fly private, and this can cost anywhere from $20,000 a flight to $50,000 a flight. When they land, they have to stay at the best hotels and the most expensive rooms. The label will also need to rent and customize a tour bus. All this can actually cost tons of money. Let's say on the low end, $500,000. Now you actually went over your initial budget with $200,000, leaving you in a grand total debt of $2.2 million. Now this is the part where artists say, well, it's all worth it because I'm going to blow up and make that money back and make more money than what I owe and get rich. The thing is, it's not as easy as it sounds. Let's say you're lucky and you happen to land the record on the charts and the song becomes a hit. People are streaming your song nonstop and your song is all over the airway. Let's say your song makes $3 million. Before you could even think of touching any of that money, the record label needs to recoup their money back first. The $2.2 million you owe gets deducted now and there's $800,000 left. Most people think that the artists sign deals and get a good percentage on their royalties. But in most cases, unless you're an established act, your royalty split looks around the lines of under 8%. For some artists, going as low as 4%, meaning that an artist will only see 4 to 8% of the profit made. So let's say the label was feeling generous when they signed you and gave you 8%. You would make a grand total of $64,000, while the record label pockets the remaining $736,000. Now you might ask yourself, don't artists get to keep all their show money? This is not completely true. See, labels tend to sign artists to different type of deals. And new artists usually sign to 360 deals. A 360 deal basically means that a label will be able to profit off anything an artist does associated with music, meaning that a label can take a cut of any shows alongside other expenses that come with touring, leaving big-name artists in difficult financial positions. More often than not, leading these artists to re-signing again to the same label for more advance money. This is how they trap an artist.
Dirty work.
An artist takes more money and gets back into more
Dirty
debt.
work.
Not only do the labels control the artist through financial ways, they also do it in a more direct way, often sculpting artists to fit a general mold, packaging them, and shipping them off as if they were a product. Labels will control what artists say and can't say. They will dress them with the brands they can wear and even how they can wear it. Also, they can manipulate the fans. See, record labels know if they have complete control of the artist, they could use that to manipulate the fans. They can push agendas through artists and promote products and sell an entire lifestyle. These record labels have sinister motives behind what they do. Often than not, pushing satanic values through music of the biggest artists with or without artist consent because they own the artist. Knowing that artists will do anything to live the dream life that when they're signed, they themselves are selling. When we are young, we watch artists on TV live such admirable lives. This is the way that labels program us to want to buy from them or sign to them. If you're a fan, then you would take artists more serious if they're successful and famous. And in some people, even motivating them to make similar life decisions. If you're an artist, then you would look at these labels as your ticket into the music industry, the only way you can make it big. That's exactly what record labels want you to believe. They need you to think that signing to them will be the only way you can succeed. In reality, it's the other way around. If the record labels don't have any artists, they wouldn't make any money. So they have to sign artists in order to get paid. But if they were to be fair to every artist they sign, then record label executives wouldn't make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So they had to find a way to make artists want to sign to them for little financial gain. Back in the day, this was much easier to do due to the fact that the internet didn't exist, nor did our current technology. So upcoming artists needed the record label's money and resources for studio time and marketing. Now with the internet, it's a lot harder for labels to continue to use this as leverage, so they use already signed artists as walking billboards to attract new acts to sign bad deals. Upcoming artists, seeing other established acts' situation and lifestyles, persuade them to signing these deals. Where things get even darker is when an artist sadly passes away. Believe it or not, record labels actually love this, seeing this as an opportunity to make even more money. Since when an artist dies, it reignites their career, leading record labels to make more money. You often see record labels trying to capitalize off dead artists. See, with the case of Juice WRLD, after he passed, his record label has been accused of using Juice WRLD's name to build hype for other artists. They have released songs with a recycled Juice WRLD verse packaged as a new feature on a Kid Leroy song, using Juice WRLD's name to promote Leroy's music to Juice's fans, hoping some of them will cross over.
So you get it.
Yeah, nah, absolutely. And
real quick, somebody said, so that's why you sign, you make your own label, you do your own label, and or you hire a good lawyer. But earlier I just told y'all that you can have a lawyer that could be fronting like he's got everything in your best fucking interest, and unless if you're diligent and do not let him skip over the fucking pages, you go, no, Mr. Lawyer, I don't know what those 5 pages you skipped over, but I do want to go through this, because these lawyers don't really give a fuck. I would say about 99.9% of them don't give a fuck, because all they do is read contracts all day, and then they're probably not reading the contracts. They probably got their paralegals reading the contract. You know what I'm saying? They know in general what's on it, but they glossing through it and be like, okay, then just sign here, and you antsy and you just happy and you young and you like, fuck it, they just gave you like $2 million.
right, and I can imagine there might even be situations where, for certain artists, they might not necessarily even have a lawyer, and so then you wind up using a lawyer that a label may offer to you, but then you got to think about how that might be a conflict of interest, because the lawyer that the label is giving you is going to be the lawyer that's going to work in their best interest. They'll tell you that they're going through the contract, but that's why you definitely got to have somebody, hopefully from the outside, who you as an artist can secure yourself.
And not to mention how they try to take your fucking publishing. You know what I mean? Like early on, me and P was fortunate that they didn't. I don't think we would have even let them take our publishing. We let them take a little percent, right? They took like 15%, which was peanuts, right? I mean, it's still a lot, right? You know what I mean? But there's some artists, they sell all they fucking publishing, and you hear these horror stories, right? And I'm like, yo, how the fuck you let them take 100% of your publishing? Like, that's I'll never understand it. I'll never understand that.
Here's a question for you. Do you think, because in the video they were talking about the 360 deal, which I know is a recent development in record contracts. Would you say that the contracts now, like with a 360 deal, is worse than a contract, say, that UMP would have signed back in the day?
I would have to say that they're probably, I would say, yeah, they might be a little bit worse, but it's all the same shit. You still getting robbed, just in a different fucking way.
Oh wow.
Because the streaming shit don't make you a lot of money, and the record labels know that. You know what I'm saying? And they're probably getting the bulk of the money anyway. But they like, yeah, since we put the money behind you, all this, that, and the third, we want some of that show money. Now, if they would have tried to do that to me back in the days, take my show money, I'd have been like, nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I wouldn't have did that. So I'm always surprised when I hear artists saying like, yo, they got most of my publishing and blah 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 blah. And that's just the case. And I can't really fault them all the way, but because sometimes people don't have mentors, you know what I'm saying? And some the people in the business that you do look up to, that you do happen to get in contact with in passing, I don't think that they even willing to be like, yo, young blood, check this out. What's up with your contract? You know what I'm saying? You need to redo that shit over. Fuck that 360 shit. Go independent. You know what I'm saying? Because they probably getting robbed. You know what I'm saying? Or they got robbed and they don't want to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Or they embarrassed. I don't know why. You know what I mean? Because I look, when we was coming in the game, and I met like, a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna name their names, but like the top people, and we all black. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at them. They gazillionaires, and I'm actually able to have a conversation with them, and not one of them said like, yo, what's up with your publishing? You got all that? Did they take it all? Let me help you negotiate your shit. I hope you ain't give away your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up with your contract? Like, because they out here robbing people. Not one of them said that. Not fucking one.
And
that's scary, son.
And it sounds like just from thinking about that video, what's crazy is it sounds like there's different money streams that you're losing money from that you don't necessarily know that you're losing. So part of in the video when they was talking about how a label might buy up certain ads so that your song could get into rotation. And yo, shout out to Chuck D. I saw he was in the chat and he was like, yo, that's illegal. Stay independent.
Stay independent, my friends. Stay independent. And you know, Chuck D, Public Enemy, shouts to them. They did it on a high level. You know what I'm saying? They did it on the highest level, one of the illest groups of all time, Public Enemy. You know what I'm saying? So I know Chuck D, he could jump in here and say way more than I could say because he has experience in dealing with these higher ups because Chuck D and Flav and all of them, they was high on the food chain. So Chuck D could have a masterclass, and I would love to have Chuck D on here one of these days. But just pointing out the things that, like I said in the beginning, I don't want to beat up on the record companies because you signed the contract. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying you have to be diligent and read the fine print. And so that's why today, instead of celebrating the 4th of July, we are celebrating the independence of the independent artists. And we got to give them their flowers because as they move forward, they are showing everybody the blueprint of what to do and what not to do. And they probably learned from my mistakes, other artists' mistakes. You understand what I'm saying? And saying to my credit, when we first signed, listen, there wasn't no internet. You know what I mean? And all we knew was to sign to a label, right? So you sign to, like, where do we get the CDs at? Where did we, we didn't even have a car to sell them out the fucking trunk. You understand what I'm saying? So you basically, a record deal was like everything, right? But then when you find out, like, the fucking fuckery, you know what I'm saying, part of my French, that's going on within these contracts, is like super fucking unbelievable. Like, I wish I had my contract around here. I still got my first contract with Loud, and shouts to Steve Rifkin. They did great by us, and they just gave us the standard contract, right? Like it could have been way worse than this, but if they're all in cahoots with each other, not like they sit at a table and being like, yo, this is what we're gonna do to the artist, but all the labels have the same contracts, right? So if you be like, oh, I don't like this contract, you go to, I don't know, you go to Sony, you know what I mean? They're gonna give you the duplicate contract. It's like a template. You know what I'm saying? Standard issue. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get so the only choice you do have is to do that slow roll. If you're patient and you believe in yourself, you be like, fuck it. And that has paid off for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like Cash Money. You know what I'm saying? Who else was MC Hammer like independent early on? E40 and all of them, they was selling CDs out the back of their trunk. You understand what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I think that, like, the Southern rappers, they was on some more get money shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? They was like, fuck that. We're gonna sell these CDs out the back of our trunk. I don't think, the East Coast Northerners, I think maybe it might have been a pride thing, right? Like to sell it out your trunk and CDs. But I did see a lot of artists selling their CDs on the streets, but not those that actually made it to the top. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And I wonder if for people like E40, for people like Too Short, all the way out in the Bay, if they had there was a time where you had to get a deal and it had to, like, central headquarters was basically like New York. Mm-hmm. So if you couldn't necessarily get to New York, or you felt like there wasn't a need to do it, say in your local market or in your general region, people was rocking with your music, and you were doing it out of the trunk, then it might not make sense at that time to do it in a different way.
True indeed. You know what I'm saying? But the 90s was a different time. You know what I'm saying? I don't think being independent was easy as it sounds. And a lot of times us as artists, we kind of want that instant gratification. We want to get on now, you know what I'm saying? And we want our music to be heard, and we'll think about everything second. But the patient artists that waited, that shit panned out for them.
Right. Even when you think of somebody like Master P and No Limit, right? Is having that vision to be able to have a certain amount of, it's not short term. It's the long game. It's the long term piece that you're looking at. I might not get in advance right now. It might not all come to me right now, but if I build up that audience that I know is there, it's going to pay off at the end.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And so that's why I always say, you got to have supreme patience and believe in yourself, because it kind of gets redundant and tiring when you're hearing artists complain, you know what I'm saying, about how the labels are doing them, right? Because it's not like they signed you when you was like 9. You know what I'm saying? Right. I mean, they signed you when you was 18. You know what I'm saying? Of age. They signed you when you was 21. It's just that you gotta kind of you gotta take responsibility, and you can't really blame the labels. You know what I mean? Because they providing a resource that you don't got access to.
Right. The other thing to do too is that you gotta have a plan going into one of those labels about how you're gonna move, right? So that you leverage the label for what it is that you need to leverage it for, in the same way they leveraging you as the artist for what they need you for. But then you got to be able to know when that time comes, and hopefully be able to pivot and make a different move.
True indeed, right? So you basically what you're saying is that record labels should just be used as a springboard.
I think so. I mean, I think that for a major label, if you come into the table and you don't have leverage, where it could be either like a joint venture between you and the label, or something where you're getting a larger percentage so it benefits you, you got to think about how to be real strategic and move through the process. So that you can use them as a springboard and then get to the next thing that you're trying to get to. And I think the person who, there's the story, I don't know it off the top of my head right now in full detail, but I know that there's this crazy story about how Frank Ocean leveraged 2 different deals and was able to make his way out of both of his contracts, and I guess live happily ever after. Is that how we want to call it?
We could call it that. We could definitely call it that. And also, these labels ain't fucking with you no more unless you part of that algorithm anyway. They want to see if you got it popping. You know what I'm saying? They be like, yo, how many streams you got? You know what I'm saying? How many views you got? How many followers you got? They want to know all of that before they even fuck with you. So at that point, if you got that many followers and streams already, why invite the fucking middleman?
Yeah.
Why? You know what I'm saying? It don't make sense to me, but it makes sense to somebody. So again, shout out to the independent artists that refuse to conform, you know what I mean, to the system. It's like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna stay independent. Like, I might only got like 600,000 followers, but I'm gonna feed my fans, and my fans gonna feed me.
Right.
You understand? You gotta curate your supporters. Just worry about them, because a friend gonna tell a friend gonna tell another friend. Then your shit is gonna grow anyway, right? It's business. In business, there's room for growth, right? And that's what your fan base is. Your fan base is always an asset, you know what I'm saying, that has room for growth.
Right. And if you're at the point where, let's say let's use the numbers you use, like if you got a core fan base of say 650,000, this is where being independent becomes crazy, right? Let's say you sell direct to consumer. Let's just say you sell an album for 10,000, or you sell an album for $10, right? 650,000 people buy your $10 album. That looks like good math that you're not going to be getting from the label. I remember an artist who mentioned how they thought that financially things switched for them when they had that sort of intimate interaction and hand to hand where their consumer is their fan base was the dude Ryan Leslie.
Oh man, he killed the game too.
Just directly to his fan base.
That's
it. Before he got locked up, Tory Lanez directly to the fan base, right? Just being able to generate money
he cracked the code.
Yeah, and if you were to label, maybe you do that same kind of, maybe you do those same sorts of financial figures, but by the time they finish slicing and dicing the money up, you might only, like, you'll be lucky if you see a mil.
A mil, you'd be lucky if you see 100,000. The way they rigged the game, the way they rigged the system. Let me tell you something. I done produced for top artists. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the record company for you, the record business. I done produced for top artists that sold like 5-10 million records, right? And these labels, they flaunt transparency. So they let you get the portal, or they'll mail you statements of that artist's album that you produced on, because they have to send you statements because you produced on it and you got a certain percentage on it.
Right.
Royalty statements. And then they send you the royalty statements saying da 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 da, such artist is unrecouped. And they let you know by how much they unrecouped. So you don't see shit until that artist recoups.
That's crazy.
Right? So this is, even producers are not safe. You understand what I'm saying? You get that upfront money. You probably charge $100,000 a track, $50,000 a track, whatever you charge, $10,000 a track. That's your advance. And then 6 months later, you're supposed to get royalties. And you really start realizing that these artists are unrecouped because they spent $2 million on the project with videos, marketing, promotion. You know what I'm saying? Travel, hotel, planes, all of that. You understand? And now they unrecouped. But you see these artists and they got on all this jewelry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They driving the crazy cars. And that is what's tricking the new generation that's coming in. They be like, oh shit, I'm gonna fuck with that label. And then they fall into the same trap. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that we need all the top artists and the powers that be in our community need to start like an organization where we, tutor these artists before they sign to any deal. You know what I'm saying? Like a union, you know what I mean? To be like, no, you're not owning this masters. And if you own it, we only gonna let you own it for 5 years. That shit gonna revert back to him.
Right.
You're gonna give him more percentage of that. This 360 shit is dead. We not fucking with that. No, we not fucking, because we good on our own. You know what I mean? Back in the days was the 80-20 deal. That's the shit that was making motherfuckers rich. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's what Cash Money had, P&D deal. You know what I'm saying? What happened to that? But some artists is getting that. There's a lot of smart artists out here that's getting that. So not all artists is fucking up.
Right. And a great example of an artist who kind of used the major label situation as a springboard into a more independent situation is Nas with Mass Appeal.
Yeah, Nas he's one of those ones. You know what I'm saying? He learned the game early on. I know he had his ups and downs, and that shit taught him, right? And now he's at the top of his game. He probably don't even have to rap. You understand what I'm saying? But we need people like him and others to just form this coalition, me included, to form this coalition. And all your artists, when y'all want to get on, come to us. We'll tell you what to do, what not to do. You take that and do with it what you will. You understand what I'm saying? So we don't have to hear none of these horror stories, and we get to a point where most of the artists are independent because we don't need all of that extra stuff no more. We don't need the third parties. It's bad enough that they shitting on people with the streaming prices. We don't even know the actual recipe of the streams,
Right.
how much money the labels, because they do it through the back door. They don't let the artist privy of what deal they made with Spotify and all these other labels. You don't know what they getting, and they giving you 0.1% on a stream.
Yeah.
You gotta have a billion streams to make $10,000 or something. I'm probably wrong. I'm just throwing numbers out there, but it don't add up.
And the other way it doesn't add up too, and I think this is definitely important for younger artists coming up, right? What's your value on what your music and your art is? So if those are the percentages where you make, you make $1 for 100,000 streams, you can go and do that yourself and be in a much better place, especially if you got a core audience involved.
Absolutely. Let me just say this to the Instagram viewers that are on here right now. Instagram only let you rock for an hour, so I would advise y'all, if y'all want to keep hearing the conversation, to jump over to Rumble, rumble.com//Havoc. Go over there, follow me, and we could continue the conversation. I'm gonna end it right here for Instagram, but if y'all want to come over to Rumble, please be my guest. I definitely trying to get them followers up. Love y'all, Instagram. Okay, we still on Rumble. Yeah, so I wanted to play one last thing real quick to just entice artists, would-be artists or future artists to come to just listen to this. I mean, this is not the Holy Grail, but this is a good thing to consider and to listen to, and just believe in your music and kind of like follow this.
I don't want to play with my own money, even though in advance they give you $1 million, et cetera, and they spend money at radio. That still ends up being your money, right? Even a line of credit. I go get $500,000 from a bank and I use it. I got to now pay monthly. It's still my money at the end of the day, but it's about time value of money, about cash flow, it's about peace of mind, right? And it's about going into your pockets. I'll go into the pockets of the bank, right? So with Chomp 2, I was like, I could fund this. I have millions of dollars in the bank. I could fund it myself. Why? Yo, bank, give me my line of credit. All right, cool. Here's $500,000. Say less. And guess what? Fund the whole Chomp 2 thing. I just put the billboard in Times Square for an hour was $60,000. Boom, right? Everything on Chomp 2, I'm using the line of credit. And then I pay $1,000 a month. I can pay $1,000 a month for the rest of my life. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to play with my own money, even though in advance.
And there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have it. That's a jewel from the one and only Russ. I think I had one more. Russ. Let me see. Is this the same one? No, that's the same one. Yeah, this one.
Me, labels are like, yo, we gotta sign you.
Right.
Lil Nas X could then say he has some leverage because he's like, listen, I know what I'm doing on my own. So y'all gotta put up X amount, right? That's how I did my deal. Like I had a TuneCore. So, and I was making hundreds of thousands. I was making 100K, right? A month. Let's call it roughly a month. So
Jesus.
I'm not taking, and this is like no label, no, like me in my basement, right?
It's like through your P.O. box. 100,000.
Nah, and it's paid out every Friday. So when labels start talking to me, like, I'm not taking your usual 600K advance with some royalty rate deal. Like, because I have belief in this, and I know that if I'm making 100K in July 2016, by December 2016, it's 170. And by December 2017, it's 270, and so on and so forth, right? So I look at these people like Lil Nas X, and it's like, man, it's dope. I'm so glad you're winning. But I'm very sad that you're not winning. They're winning.
Meaning you signed to Columbia too early? That's what you would have recommended?
Because
like
they're winning.
Two or three more years.
So, do you understand that he could have signed
let me tell you
twice as much and also had, you know what I would have done if I was in? I would have dropped the Old Town Road shit. It would have gone nuts. which it did without Colombia. And I'm with Colombia, but they know what's up. Yeah. We all know what's up. Let's just talk freely. It would have gone nuts regardless. So it's going nuts. Then I would have dropped, and that would have been on my TuneCore. Then I would have dropped more songs. And because of the hype of Old Town Road, those songs are just going to go regardless because you're dropping within the moment. So
there you go. There you have it. You know, words from a wise one. You know what I mean?
Right. Those are some jewels that Russ was dropping. The whole fact that he was like, yo, let me fund my own project on my own line of credit. Like you winning.
Right. You absolutely winning. And I think, you know, the artists today, they could take a couple of jewels from that. Obviously, there's more artists than that are doing the same thing. And I just want to, you know, salute the artists out there that have been bamboozled, for lack of better words. Just read your contracts. Don't let the lawyers skip over it. Really heavily think about independence. You know, being an independent artist, believe in your music. You don't need another daddy. You know what I mean? You just need yourself. You know what I mean? You can actually do this on your own. So with that being said, you know, another episode of Stuck Off the Realness, you know, bringing awareness to the independent artists, saluting them on this 4th of July. I want to thank Rumble for giving me the platform today to talk about something that was definitely near and dear to my heart. I want to thank you, Dr. Todd Craig, for coming in. I know today was tough for you. You know what I mean? So salute to you.
Thank you for having me always. And we gotta come back one time and do a show where we play some of the music of all those independent artists and those indie labels.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's M. Benz in the chat that's like, not to mention you maintain creative control as an artist when you do the independent route. So let's play some of that real artist creative music that's come out of that independent movement.
Absolutely. So next time around, we'll be playing more music, less commentary, and you know, we just going to mix it up. You know what I'm saying? Happy 4th of July. Salute to everybody. Shout out to Siraj behind the boards.
Siraj, what's good?
Thank you. And we'll see y'all next week, Thursday.
Everyone be safe on the 4th. Peace.
Yes.